Okay, finally in part 4, we're going to do the kind of go backward problem. They're going to give me a picture and ask me to pull information from that picture. So the very first example, part A, on 5, says use the graph shown to find the domain, the range, the intercepts, if any, horizontal asymptotes, vertical asymptotes, oblique asymptotes, if any. So we're just going to read the picture. Oops, sorry, I didn't get the picture drawn in. On over the asymptotes. So the picture looks something like that. Okay, so let's go find the domain and range from the picture. So the domain looks like we're avoiding 2. So we're going to go from negative infinity to 2 and 2 to infinity. What about the range? That's the bottom to the top. So we can see that at 1 we have issues. So we're going to go from negative infinity to 1 and from 1 to infinity. So we just established that the vertical asymptote is at x equal to 2. The horizontal asymptote is y equal to 1. And there is no oblique. Again, you'll either have an HA or an OA. You will not have both. Finally, all that's left are the intercepts. So for us, we can see that the x and y intercepts for this picture are both at the origin. So 0, 0. So they're right smack there. And there it is. So we looked at the picture. We found the information from the picture. Okay, the next one, the graph is doing something like this. We have not seen anything like this yet, so this is kind of new for us. But we can still pull the information we need from the picture. So let's talk about the domain. So this is over here at negative 2. This is over here at positive 2. Those are the vertical asymptotes. We can see the horizontal asymptote sitting here at 1. So our domain, we know, is going to go from negative infinity to negative 2. We then go from negative 2 to 2, and then we're going to go from 2 to infinity. And notice how cool it is. We have a picture in each one of these intervals. So there's a piece on the left side, a piece in the middle, and a piece on the right side. And that's what the domain is doing for us. It's telling me how many pieces I'm going to have. Our range is a little bit sneakier here. The bottom piece goes from negative infinity to 0. The top piece goes from 1 to infinity. We're not really sure what's going on between 0 and 1, but from what we're given, that's what we're going to call the range. The asymptotes we labeled, let's come down against the vertical asymptote is x equal negative 2 and positive 2. The horizontal asymptote is y equal to 1. And as far as intercepts go, this one also has x and y intercepts at the origin. So not very exciting for those intercepts, but there it is. Okay, there's one more example. This, I guess, is a very short part. But the last example, part C, we can see has an oblique asymptote. So it does not have a horizontal, it has an oblique asymptote. So let's get its picture on the board and pull the information from that graph. So we have a picture that looks something like this. They do have a couple of points plotted, so I kind of need them. So then what you're going to notice, which is kind of important to notice, is at the top and the bottom of the y-axis, there are 2 dotted lines. That's the vertical asymptote. So they didn't dot the whole thing. They put dots at the top and the bottom. And that's this textbook and this author's way of doing it. I tend to not use that because I think that's really hard to note. So I'll tend to either use a color on top of the axis or maybe use dash lines going across it. You know, slanted dash lines is what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then we have a point down here at, it's labeled as 1, negative 2, and the graph is doing this. And then we have another point over here at negative 1, positive 2. And the graph is doing this. So notice it's still doing what we said. In each of the regions, it's starting by an asymptote and ending by an asymptote, starting by an asymptote and ending by an asymptote. So it's doing exactly what we expect it to do. Okay, so our domain, left to right, negative infinity to 0, and 0 to infinity, because again, the dotted line on top of the y-axis is telling us that that's our vertical asymptote. Our range, well, we're going to have to go off those points. So this piece is going from negative infinity to negative 2. The next piece is going from not negative 2, positive 2 to infinity. So that's this piece to the infinity. Okay, the vertical asymptote we said was at x equal to 0. We don't have a horizontal, we do have an oblique asymptote. So there's no HA. Well, we need this oblique asymptote. Well, it's a line. We know how to write equations of line. So it's y equal to. First thing we need is the slope. So the slope of this line, well, this point right here is is at negative 1, 1. It's labeled. And this point is at 0, 0. Aren't we going down 1 and over 1? So our slope is a negative 1 times x plus the y-intercept. So y equal mx plus b. Well, our y-intercept is 0. So y equal a negative x plus 0. And there it is. So there's the oblique asymptote. It has no x and y-intercept, so no intercepts. There it is. We've now pulled the information off of 1. So, and that wraps up all the properties of rational functions. And in our next section, we'll actually start from ground zero and graph rational functions and end up with pictures that look like